You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on 1580 Gov.biz Radio, a CBS station.
Welcome to Women's Media Center Live, and happy 2013. I'm Robin Morgan. You're listening to us on CBS radio station Gov.biz, 1580 AM in the Washington, D.C. area, or on the web, WMClive.com, where you can find links to podcasts of all our previous shows, too. And we want to listen to you. Tweet us at hashtag WMCLive or email us at womensmediacenterlive@gmail.com. Our guests this week are a distinguished but lively bunch. The woman who can tell us which legislation we need to support and why, and which laws coming down the pike we need to watch out for. Then one of the most respected voices of Palestinian feminism in the world. Last, a woman whose talent lends perspective and hilarity to whatever it touches, Lily Tomlin. But first, behind the headlines. I want to start the new year with some cheerful for a change news. And I found it, though you'd have needed to be fine-tooth combing your newspapers and your TV news shows to locate it. This month, not only the president but newly elected lawmakers are sworn in, which presents some interesting, I think heartening, conundrums this time. Might the newly elected to Congress Democrat Tulsi Gabbard, an Iraq war veteran and a half-Hindu yoga practitioner from Hawaii, opt to be sworn in holding her copy of the Bhagavad Gita? Would the new Buddhist senator, Mazie Hirono, the first Asian American woman elected to the Senate, also a Democrat, also from Hawaii, would she bring the Dharma under the dome? How come House member-elect Kristen Sinema, Democrat, Arizona, who was raised a Mormon but describes herself openly as a, quote, non-theist, not only hasn't been tarred and feathered, but won her seat? And what about Representative Tammy Baldwin, Democrat, Wisconsin, now Senator-elect, who says her Episcopalian baptism and upbringing no longer describe her, terming herself, quote, unaffiliated and secular? What ecumenicism? Can it be that some politicians... Wait a minute. These happen to be all women. But don't give up hope. We've learned that when the gender gap on, say, voting patterns narrows, it's because men are drawing closer to women's positions, not the other way round. So, again, can it be that more politicians might begin rejecting religious labels, thus mirroring the growing number of U.S. citizens who are coming out of the closet, confessional, cloister, and wherever else, who term themselves unaffiliated, secular, atheist, or agnostic? That's now about 1/5 of the population, rising to about 1/3 of all young Americans age 18 to 22. If so, it would mean that our politics and our population have finally grown into our Constitution, which fittingly reads in Article 6, "No religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States." Hallelujah. Now, our first guest is Marcia Greenberger, founder and co-president of the National Women's Law Center. She's been a leader in securing passage of landmark legal protections for women like the Lily Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, Pregnancy Discrimination Act, and also critical protections against sexual harassment on the job and sex discrimination in schools. She's also an expert on women and the law, especially regarding health, reproductive rights, and family economic security. Welcome to Women's Media Center Live. It's wonderful to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be with you.
Well, now, Marcia, I want to get right to it because you are the law maven. What is coming down the pike that we should be aware of that's either very bad and we should be braced to oppose, or that's very good and we should be on the case to support?
Well, I think there are some of each of those, but also, of course, one of the questions is whether things that are coming down the pike could be very bad or very good, and it's up to us to make them very good. And let me start with that category. There are some very, very scary proposals about what to do in both taxes and budget cuts, and some proposals that would be fair and would ultimately propel the country and women forward. So let me get to it in particular. One is the obvious effect of raising taxes on those that are at the top 2%,
right,
versus proposals that would ultimately eliminate some of the most important tax provisions for women. Child tax credit, which is available especially for lower income working families. And there have been some proposals for those who are opposed to raising tax rates, even for the top 2%, to eliminate some of what they might call loopholes, whether child tax credit or earned income tax credit, because women are at the lower economic levels more than men and much more economically vulnerable. Getting a fair tax system is going to be extraordinarily important for women. That's one thing. Then we look at the cut side and the idea of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. It's one thing to reduce the rate of growth by looking for savings and trying to get efficiencies in the system. Those kinds of solutions are very important. Also, potentially looking at higher earners paying more in payroll taxes. But if we're talking about cutting benefits or raising the age before those benefits kick in, again, that's a double whammy for women who are more reliant on those programs because economically need them more, and also because if those programs shrink in size, the workforce that provides services in the healthcare industry and social services, etc., are more likely to be women than men.
Right.
So women end up losing their jobs and losing the benefits that they need through these social service programs. So keeping an eye on how the debate gets resolved around the quote-unquote fiscal cliff and the ongoing issues that are going to be happening, no doubt, over the next few years, starting this minute and continuing, around tax provisions, tax reform, closing so-called loopholes. You know, is the child tax credit a loophole? Most people would be shocked to hear it, but that's some of our lawmakers are subsuming these essential fairness provisions into loophole language. So we need to be vigilant there. On reproductive rights, that is another issue where the states are proposing. It's as if the election, in many ways, never happened. And we are seeing in some of the states now, including Michigan, to just pick one example, these draconian measures to abortion services, punitive, cruel measures. There are a number of states where the legislature and the governor are both anti-choice and anti-reproductive health care access for women, still talking about cuts for Planned Parenthood services, etc., and trying to remove them as health care providers that get reimbursed services. These things there's every sign they're going to continue. And we know that the anti-choice majority in the House of Representatives is going to introduce and continue to introduce those kinds of measures, we hope, because the Senate views things differently and not tolerating that kind of punitive, dangerous anti-woman legislation. Unemployment insurance, another key issue that needs to be extended, also coming up now. There are those pressing to cut the extension of unemployment benefits, but we have some long-term unemployed. Women are a large percentage of those who are in that long-term unemployed category who are having a terrible, difficult time getting employment. Cutting off unemployment insurance at this point with the economy and the dearth of jobs still the way it is would be devastating to them and their families and actually to our economy.
Sure.
Because people at the lower income levels spend that money right away. It goes right back into food stores and basic clothing for their kids. It's going to circulate right away. It is not going to be saved in the bank. So those are some of the things that keep me up at night.
Marcia, I have a question. I know that you have 2 daughters, right?
I do. Well, and now some grandchildren too.
Wow, congratulations. Well, we've only got another minute or so, but in brief, long-term looking, what ideally laws and policies do you hope could be improved or changed for your daughters?
Finding affordable quality child care. A terrible problem, especially for lower-income women, but every woman at every income level. A second is, and this is a new piece of legislation we're really hoping will be pressed, to deal with accommodation for pregnant women in the workplace, which is, there's a new bill, the Pregnancy Accommodation Act. Disabilities now need to be accommodated, but believe it or not, there have been some court decisions saying that if you're disabled because of pregnancy, an employer doesn't have to accommodate that and even let you take breaks to go to the bathroom and take breaks to drink water.
Oh, my God.
So, it's sort of those whole constellation of issues where we need to do better to recognize people have work responsibilities to earn paychecks, and they have family responsibilities. That's a big category. Dealing with violence against women, we need to get that reauthorized. That Violence Against Women Act, there's an International Violence Against Women Act that is yet to be passed. I'd like to see us play a bigger role internationally for the sake of the United States and women here and women worldwide. We haven't ratified CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women.
Exactly.
I'd like to see more judges confirmed in a routine basis, and women's both rights under the Constitution and Roe formalized in a way that is solidified rather than always hanging by a thread, and our equal protection rights enhanced.
Boy,
so I think
it's a good
wish. Big agenda still for those.
It's a good wish list
of mine, and now for those, I have 2 granddaughters.
Yeah, it's a good wish list.
And a grandson. So
wow.
I think they'll benefit all from it.
They will, and we benefit from the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for being with us, and may we come back to you again and consult in the future?
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you, my dear. Bye-bye now.
Right.
Bye-bye. Bye. We'll take a short break here. I'm Robin Morgan, and this is Women's Media Center Live. Coming up, a Palestinian feminist activist who will not give up hope. So don't go away. After Hurricane Sandy, parts of the East Coast have returned to normal, but others won't see normal again for quite some time. One group getting volunteers and aid supplies to those who need it is called Occupy Sandy. Made up of a coalition of Occupy Wall Street activists, community organizers, and technologists, Occupy Sandy is using social media and other software tools to identify and quickly respond to urgent needs among the hardest-hit communities. You can help. To donate or to volunteer, visit occupysandy.org.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on 1580 gov.biz radio, a CBS station.
And we're back. We're back with Palestinian Maha Abu-Dayyeh Shamas, who's the director of the Women's Center for Legal Aid and Counseling in Jerusalem, the former chair of the Jerusalem Legal Aid Center, and one of the drafters of the International Women's Commission for a Just Peace. She is highly respected internationally as a promoter of joint dialogue and anti-occupation resistance with Israeli women of the Jerusalem Link. It's very good to have you with us on the phone from Jerusalem.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure to be with you today.
Well, I thought you could.
Thank you for having me.
I thought you could catch us up now that we're in the new year on where things are with Palestine and most of all Palestinian women, because it changes so often, and yet it's still where the suffering of women is concerned remains deplorably the same. Talk a little about the United Nations vote recently, and how that might affect women. Let's start there.
This we are so used now. It's been a perpetual conflict for so long, and with ups and downs. For Palestinian women, the General Assembly decision was an event that was happy, but the morning, after the day after, everything goes back to the same thing. Life under occupation is the same. Nothing has changed on the ground.
Yeah, and women.
So you, at one level, you get used to this kind of life, which is dangerous.
Yes.
But when things happen, like escalation in violence, that's when you are reminded this is abnormal and it can't go on.
Yeah.
So we still have Gaza under siege. There is still tension there. We don't know when is the next blowout, and people are getting killed every day. So these people have families, mothers, sisters, and it's an ongoing thing. Every day there is somebody who gets killed.
Maha,
that dampens the morale of the people very quickly.
Well, of course.
Even after a UN General Assembly election, very quickly reality hits that nothing has changed or will change for a long while.
Maha, let me ask you this. Years ago, Zuhaira Kamal...
Excuse me?
Years ago, can you hear me? Years ago, Zuhaira Kamal said to me, and I think you said to me once something not too unlike the same statement, that if women were on first of all, on both sides of the Palestinian leadership, in West Bank and in Gaza, there would be a united leadership. And if women were also running Israel, there would have been peace a long time ago. Not because women are simplistic, but because women are more collaborative. Do you still feel that way?
I think a certain kind of woman who has risen to leadership position on the issues of social justice, I am sure on both sides and all over the world, they will do a better job than everybody's there. But also we have seen some women who have come to a position of power and basically they just played it the same way that men played it.
Yeah.
So it all depends what kind of woman.
Of course.
If you're talking about Zuhaira Kamal, she's definitely a women's rights activist, social justice activist. Women on the Israeli side who are asking for social justice, definitely. I think if this kind of woman takes a position of power and comes to decision-making position, yes, things will be totally different.
But not if it's an imitation man.
Not?
Not if it's an imitation man.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely not. No.
Well, take some time.
We've seen enough women leaders who just play the same old game of militarism and conflict and power politics.
Take a while.
Same game like men.
Take a while and talk to us about the work you do. Speaking of progressive leaders, and talk about the Women's Center for Legal Aid and Counseling, because the work that you do, the work that you've done all your life, is extraordinary. But talk about the work that the
yes, it's like it's almost now been 20 years in existence, and in spite of occupation, conflict, wars, lives of people go on. Women get married, give birth to children, sometimes get divorced, fight, have their internal family problems, and those are issues that one must deal with. Mm-hmm. You can't wait for a state is built or comes to start dealing with family issues. So that's when we initiated the idea of the center 20 years ago. And we provide legal aid services, protection to women. We have safe home. We represent women in courts. We do counseling for victims of violence, abuse, and discrimination. We also do advocacy work. We do advocacy with the PA to reform law to become gender sensitive, because there is no legislative council and there is no law being legislated. So we are actually very involved in policy development, dealing with victims of violence. And even in the religious courts, rules and procedures have been introduced as a result of our efforts to protect women, because there is no legislative life. So that's how we are approaching it.
And you are dealing
in the absence of a state.
And you are dealing both on the one hand with the Israeli state, at least for women who are in Jerusalem, as well as with the Palestinian leadership and with traditions, quote unquote, patriarchal traditions on both sides. Am I correct?
Yes. Palestinian women in Jerusalem are subject to different kinds of laws because Israeli law applies on East Jerusalem. So you have the Israeli law that is applicable. You have Jordanian law for the religious courts.
Wow.
And also Palestinian law, because many West Bank Palestinian women marry Jerusalemites. So that is a very, very complex, unique situation for women living in Jerusalem. That is, I don't know if there is any other example like it in the world.
Because they're caught between some.
If you have to represent a woman with a problem in East Jerusalem, you have to be proficient in 3 systems of law.
Wow.
To understand how to help that one case.
Wow. And would this be, for example, a custody case of children, or?
Yes. If, say, a custody case or a divorce case, you have to divorce in an Israeli religious court, in a Jordanian religious court, and get that dealt with in the West Bank.
Oh my God! No wonder you're exhausted all the time. I mean, I want to say here that if listeners want to, know more about the work of the center or contribute to it, it is one of the spotlighted groups with Donor Direct Action, and you can find that on the web, just simply donordirectaction.org. And it's a way for U.S. citizens who want to give to international groups to be able to do so in a way that they know is safe and vetted, and also get a tax deduction. And you can find the whole link to website and information about the center there. Thank you, thank you so much for being with us and for the work that you do all the time. I long for, I don't know if I'll live to see it, but I long for the day when there will be a peaceful 2-state solution, and women like you will be in leadership in the new state of Palestine. I
long for that day too. I don't know if I will live long enough to see it though.
Well, but it will happen.
We have to keep hoping. That's what keeps us going.
That's right. It will happen. And since everybody secretly on both sides knows that it's going to happen, what drives me crazy is that these men don't just get to it. I mean, how many more people have to die before they will let happen what they acknowledge is going to happen?
How many more people have to die?
Precisely. Anyway, I send you my love. Marhaba. Shukran etir. Thank you so much for doing this. And I hope to see you the next time that you come to the States. And now it's time for some verbal karate. Today's karate chops are etymological, the sources of very familiar phrases that we still use. These are samples from an email sent in by friends in academia, and they're fun. In the 16th century, the floors were dirt. Only the wealthy had anything other than dirt, hence the saying, dirt poor. The wealthy had slate floors that would get slippery in the winter when wet. That's the 1%. So they spread thresh on the floor, reeds and stuff, to keep their footing. As the winter wore on, they kept adding more thresh until when you opened the door, it would all start slipping outside. So a piece of wood was placed at the entry, hence a threshold. They cooked in the kitchen in a huge kettle that always hung over the fire. Every day they lit the fire and they added stuff to the pot. They mostly ate vegetables because they didn't get much meat. They would eat stew for dinner, and they would leave the leftovers in the pot to get cold overnight, and then they'd start all over the next day. Sometimes, though, the stew had food in it, vegetables and stuff, that had been in there for days. Hence the rhyme. Peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold, peas porridge in the pot 9 days old. Sometimes they could get, pork, and they would feel special when that happened. And guests would come over, and everybody would celebrate, and they'd bring out some bacon and hang it up to show it off. It was a sign of wealth and prosperity that you could literally bring home the bacon. And they'd cut off a little to share with the guests, and everybody would sit around and chew the fat. This one interests me especially. Bread was divided according to status. Workers got the burnt bottom of the loaf. The family got the middle, and guests got the top, or the upper crust. Lead cups were used sometimes to drink ale or whiskey, and the combination, chemically, would sometimes knock people out for days. Somebody walking along the road would take them for dead and would take them and prepare them for burial. So they were laid out on the kitchen table for a couple of days, and the family would gather around and eat and drink and wait to see if they would wake up. Hence the custom of holding a wake. Now you know what you're really saying when you say it. And it's break time. This is Women's Media Center Live, and I'm Robin Morgan. We'll return in a minute with Ernestine or Edith Ann or any of the other much-loved characters who live through the great actor and comic who will also be with us, Lily Tomlin. "40 years ago this January, the Supreme Court decision Roe v. Wade guaranteed women's right to choose abortion. In 1977, Congress ended this right for the most vulnerable women when it passed the Hyde Amendment, banning Medicaid coverage of abortion. The National Network of Abortion Funds works to restore coverage while helping women pay for the procedures they need. You can help too. To learn more or donate so no woman is forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy to term, go to fundabortionnow.org.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on 1580 gov.biz radio, a CBS station.
Welcome back to a conversation with a woman whose work and self I love, as do millions of others. She's been awarded the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, an Oscar nomination, a Grammy, 2 Tonys, and 6 Emmys. Yet she's still her own unique self, who, together with her life partner and creative partner, genius writer Jane Wagner, has given us such masterpieces of comedic consciousness as The Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe. Welcome, Lily. It's a thrill. Welcome to Women's Media Center Live.
And it's a great thrill and pleasure for me to talk with you.
Well, are you still talking? Are you in the fantastic house that I visited, that amazing house when you'd first moved into it, with a great...
No, we are. That modern house.
Yes, with a great kitchen.
Yeah, we are indeed. We've been here now since 99.
Yeah, the greatest kitchen I have ever seen.
Oh, my gosh.
And
I must learn to cook.
And the and the artwork, my God, it's a fantastic place. And the dogs, do you still take stray dogs?
No, my last stray is gone. She died, and we had these 2 cats. We have 1 cat left, and she's so possessive, and she's getting to be OLD, so we have not replaced a kitty or a dog, and we're, as much as we love her, we really want some more animals.
So you're almost catless and you're dogless at the moment.
Dogless completely at the moment.
Well, you need to be redogged and recatted.
The other cat was a yellow cat, and we named him after Roddy McDowell because he was so sensitive and elegant. And Jane, when Jane was a girl, in fact, Jane said this at Roddy McDowell's memorial, when she was a girl in Tennessee, then when she saw the Lassie movies and saw him on the screen, she said he's the first sensitive boy she'd ever seen.
Oh.
Coming from a small town in Tennessee.
Oh.
So I always thought that was so kind of wonderful. I could just see her looking up at that screen, and Roddy was just so kind and sensitive and dear, you know.
Yeah, he was a very good actor.
That's the history of those two kitties.
Well, I have a crazy question. It's because when you do this thing, this this radio show, you interview friends, you suddenly do your homework on who has researched a friend. But I have researched you, so now I get to ask, depending on the context, either incredibly smart or incredibly stupid questions, like, who knew you were born Mary Jean Tomlin?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, yes. I took my mother's name.
I want asking,
I thought her name was so great, Lily Tomlin. And my dad, I tried to convince my brother, who made a stab at being a performer for a while, and he was really so good, but he wasn't cut out for it. He would leave. I began doing a single because he would leave the stage in the middle of a performance.
Oh.
And he'd say, "Oh, this is so embarrassing," or "This is so awkward." And so I tried to get him to change. His name is Richard, but I tried to get him to change his name to Guy. I thought Lily and Guy Tomlin were like a perfect English.
It does sound
comedy pair.
Yes, it does sound very British.
And then I did the same in the show I'm doing in Malibu Country. I named my character after my mother, whose spelling is really like the show, Lillieme, Lily Mae.
Lily Mae.
She's Southern, so it was perfect.
Aha. And how old were you when you took her name?
Oh, I was grown. I was probably 19 or 20.
I see.
I got my equity card.
Oh, you were a person.
Yeah, so I got my equity card, and when they asked me my name, I had gone up for an audition they were looking for English music hall performers, and I told my brother, we'll say we're Lily and Guy Tomlin, and we'll talk with an English accent.
And did you?
Because I introduced myself on this roster as Lily, there was a guy there who gave me a job in a mime show.
Oh.
A classic white-face mime show, which I was not a mime by any education, but I was a good mime just naturally as a person who performs.
Yeah.
And so I got my equity card in that show, and I became Lily Tomlin.
Oh, and history was born.
Exactly.
All right, so you mentioned Malibu Country. So let's talk about that for a minute or so. You are playing Reba McEntire's mother. She is playing your daughter. You are co-starring in this funny, warm, delightful series. And your character has this great edge to her, which I don't know whether that was written in or whether that has been brought courtesy of the person who is playing her.
No, it was that was sort of the intention. I read it into the script that she had that potential. So yes, I was interested in it. To play, I don't know. I knew Reba and I was friendly with her. And when I had this opportunity to play an older character steadily on a sitcom like this, and the idea that I could sort of portray my mother to the great delight of all our relatives in Kentucky and Detroit and other places. But I don't know. It sort of came together and appealed to me. And I had that wig made, that white wig.
Yes.
My mother had white hair, which I've always adored. And, in fact, I would give anything if my own hair would turn white.
It won't turn white?
No, I have almost no gray hair at all, like my dad's family.
How do you find working on a series? I know it's very hard work.
It's much more demanding than anyone would think.
Yeah.
I like... this is a live audience, 4-camera show. We work 5 days a week, and at the end of the week, it's like putting on a little one-act play. And each week we do a new play. But we rehearse, and every day the script is changed and rewritten. And so by Thursday, we start on Fridays with rehearsal, and then we rehearse all week until Thursday when the audience comes in. So, and I love it, of course, because I get to stay home more. instead of going on the road.
Instead of touring.
I've enjoyed this family of characters. We just had a Christmas party the other night, Friday night, at Reva's house, and I think the cast is so well featured. The kids are really great.
You know, I understand why they say a lot of a career is discernible in the choices made, because the characters that you've played have always been different and have always been interesting. I mean, there's never been a something where you looked at the part and thought, well, Lily took this one for the money. Never, you know, or if you did, it...
Well, listen, you know, you say that, and when I was offered the Beverly Hillbillies film years ago, I said, I don't want... First of all, I said Nancy Culp was revered by that audience that used to watch her on Hillbillies. And I said, I'm not going to try to step into Nancy Culp's shoes. And I said, and plus, I'm a little tired of being expected to play these kind of spinster roles.
Yeah.
As there might be called, especially about 10, 15 years ago. And and I turned the part down, you know. And then one day my mother, Lily, the real Lily, as she would say, the real Lily Tomlin, she called me on the phone. She said, "Oh, I heard that you're going to play Miss Hathaway in the Beverly Hillbillies," and that's what I clenched it for me. I said, "Well, the cosmos is trying to tell me something." So she said, "Oh, you're going to be so good as Miss Hathaway," and I thought, "Oh, brother, my number is on the board."
Your number is on the board. But I remember when you were in West Wing, and that was a coming and going character. Not every single week, but almost nobody was every single week. And I remember we talked, and I envied you because you were getting to say Sorkin lines.
Oh, you're telling me. I was just beside myself that I got that part. And it was such a remarkable show.
It really was. In my little research for this, I was realizing, my God, look at this. I remembered suddenly I Heart Huckabees, which is one of the very few movies I have ever just sat there and seen the entire movie in the theater again twice, because it was so intelligent.
Yeah, and that's David O. Russell, and I made two movies with David, and of course he and I have this infamous YouTube viral video.
Oh yes, I remember that now. Yeah, where he attacked you or something.
Oh, well, we attacked each other, really.
Oh, good. I'm glad you got
there were two outings.
I'm glad you got your own back.
One indoors and one outside in a car. I absolutely adore his talent and him as a person. He's so brilliant. Of
course, the one with Steve Martin, What, All of Me.
Yeah,
which was...
Love that, too.
Amazing movie. And Nashville. And 9 to 5. You've got a what musicians call a catalog. Or, I know.
Yeah, it'd be nice to own that catalog. Like the Beatles.
Yes, very much so. You have an oeuvre, my dear. Your oeuvre, OEUVRE,
right,
is very, very impressive. Is there anything that you...
I'm honored, thanks.
Is there anything that you haven't done that you still long to do? Any part?
No, part of what things that loom in my mind all the time are... there are little anecdotal things that happened when I was growing up that, to me, are perfect short stories.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them I made into a monologue, Tell Miss Sweeney Goodbye, which is when I had a crush on my sixth grade teacher, and then I do something that she chastises me for, and I'm just so horribly crushed. And I imagine throwing myself under a bus on the way home from grade school, and her rushing to my side. Like an old movie, and she doesn't make it in time, and my last words are "Tell Miss Sweeney goodbye."
Oh.
And so I always wanted to make something visual of that. So those kinds of things hang in my head. Not even full movies, but these little arcs that...
Well, now that they're on YouTube channels, we should have you, Lily Tomlin channel on YouTube, and then just do them.
I hope I get some hits. I had this other wonderful thing with
my brother. Hang on to it. Hold on to it for a minute. We've got to pause and take a break. Yep, and we'll be right back. I'm Robin Morgan here with Women's Media Center Live. Hang in there, because we will be right back with more Lily Tomlin. Oh, joy.
If you ever need an organ transplant, you will probably die before you get one. Thousands of Americans die waiting every year. You can improve your odds by joining LifeSharers, and it's free. Visit lifesharers.org or call 888-ORGAN-88. LifeSharers puts organ donors first. When you join LifeSharers, you get preferred access to the organs of other members. This could literally save your life. Join LifeSharers today. There's no age limit, parents can enroll their minor children, and no one is excluded due to any pre-existing medical condition. Call 888-ORGAN-88 or visit lifesharers.org. That's LifeSharers.org. LifeSharers. It's free. It could save your life.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on 1580 gov.biz radio, a CBS station.
We're here again with Lily Tomlin, a one-woman movement with a cast of thousands in her soul. And we're back with the one and only Lily Tomlin. Now, go ahead and say what you were about to say.
Oh, I'm not going to tell another anecdote. It's just too much. You talk to me.
Oh, oh, it's much more. You're the one being interviewed, but I will take advantage of something. I will take advantage of the fact that you're being interviewed and talk worshipfully, because you know how I feel about that work of art, about your and Jane Wagner's search for signs of intelligent life in the universe.
I don't even like my name linked with her as sort of the creator. I really only performed in that piece, and
yes, but no one else, even though the genius is in the words, no one else could have brought it to. It was written for you, and you performed it for her, and it is. You know all the times I've seen it, and cried through it.
I'm exhilarated. I probably could have done it the rest of my life because it was such a glorious epiphanous experience every night.
And Jane is just, I want to write like her when I grow up.
And she might have the same feeling about you, frankly.
Oh, nonsense.
But they reissued the book after it's been 25 years or more in print, and they reissued another edition of it just not too long, just a few weeks ago, really. I think the reason the search endures too is it may be even more relevant.
Oh, completely.
In so many aspects.
Listen, I see people walking down the street with their cell phones. Or their ear plugs in, just talking into the air. And of course, they're on their cell phones. But every time I see people walking down the street talking to themselves, I think of you in Search.
Yeah, Trudy, right.
The bag lady. The one who says, one of my favorite lines of all time, what is reality anyway but a collective hunch?
Yeah, right. Oh, I know. In fact, I'm working on a thing secretly for Jane, on this one, a wall in the backyard. I want to have a bunch of her quotes, made into the wall.
Oh, how brilliant. Are you going to have the one?
Her.
You have to have the one that says, I always wanted to be somebody. Now I see I should have been more specific.
Right. Oh, yeah, I know. That's greatly quoted. And the worst part is, Robin, is that half the time I'm credited with those quotes. To the extent that, people think I should go to the UN and bring world peace.
Well, you should, actually, in your spare time.
Not really.
And why haven't you?
So many times, there's just quote after quote after quote. I just sort of agonize over the fact that she doesn't get the credit she deserves for all that writing.
Well, look at it this way. This is a cheerful, slightly lugubrious way of looking at it. At some point, you'll croak, and she'll croak, and the words will last.
They will.
So the words, writing well is the best revenge, and the words will eventually find their way into history and herstory and all the strees, and people will know they're hers. So there you go.
No, that's what I'm aiming for.
I want
not the croaking part.
Not for her
to have that acknowledgement.
I want to ask you about politics, because you have always been political. You've been an activist. A feminist, an open, unabashed feminist. You've been active for gay rights, as I recall, animal rights too.
I would think I was very lucky. In fact, it may be the very reason I had any success, really, or the kind of success I did have, is I just happened to come into the zeitgeist at the right time. I became well known on Laugh-In, doing
Ernestine,
the telephone operator, and Edith Ann, the little kid in the rocking chair.
Yes.
They were my first two big television characters.
Yeah, I love them both.
And they, and they just struck a nerve. They were somehow, and they were funny, and people took to them. And then I had a place from which I could speak, or even express myself. It's not even that I was ever, didactic about anything.
No.
It's where mine and Jane's both, our sensibilities derive. And I recognized her immediately when we first came together in New York through mutual friends. I just understood her. She's so Southern. She's from Tennessee, and I have all that Kentucky background, even though I grew up in Detroit.
Was it love at first sight? Or second sight?
Yes, it was. On my part, it certainly was. I won't speak for her, but it was so totally for me.
Wow. And how long has it lasted now?
Well, it'll be 42 years in March.
Oh, my God. Oh, I didn't realize it had been that long. How beautiful, how amazing, how terrific. Wow. When it hits 50th, we have to have a party.
Oh, God, yes, we do.
Maybe even 45.
I'll tell you what, the first how I really got her to come to California is because of the Edith Ann album. I had seen JT, what she had written, and for which she'd been given a Peabody Award.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing she'd ever written in terms of a script or anything. She wanted to be a songwriter, and she had been a designer for different companies. And I wrote her and asked her if she would come to California and help me work on my Edith Ann album, because I wanted Edith to be more than she had been on Laugh-In. And she never came. Oh, she did finally come, but she sent me a bunch of material. And as her habit, which I've become proficient at reading and typing and everything, is, notations and longs and scribbles and alternate choices and up those margins and in between. But I got her to come to California, and we produced that Edith Ann album, which was a huge leap for me in terms of that character. And it was just, we never parted after that.
And you never parted after that. Oh, wow.
I forget where I was going with that story, but...
no, but that's some kind of record, and particularly for L.A., people must just fall over sideways when they hear that.
I don't know, I guess.
Now, I have one last question. I've asked this of women all around the world, and in the refugee camps and in the parliaments and stuff, and the answers are always absolutely fascinating to me. It's a two-part question, and the first part is what would you say is your greatest regret, or if you don't have regrets, the source of sadness, or in that category, and what would you say is your greatest pride?
I should get serious, but my regrets are always comical.
Oh, that's fine.
Is it?
Yeah, of course it is.
One of my biggest regrets, and this will seem very trivial and facetious, but it's not. Is the year after Cher was on the Oscars and she wore that dress with the midriff open,
yes,
and those feathers out of her hair.
Yes,
she was going to loan it to me, and I was going to wear it the next year. And this was before people were doing they were much more kind of restrained in their garments. Fashion wasn't quite as blatant and in your face as it is now.
Yes.
And I was playing at the Kennedy Center, and everybody talked me out of it finally, because I was going to have to cancel 3 or 4 shows so I could go to New York, and I'll go to California and do all that. And so the Kennedy Center wasn't too happy. Nobody was happy if I did it, accepted it. Got the outfit and everything, and I was just going to get it from her and Bob Mackie and wear it. And
well, the idea alone of just wearing anything that somebody famously wore the year before is hilarious.
Yeah, listen, I could have done it however many times she appeared at the Oscars. Remember that time she wore that kind of lavender thing with a big bonnet, sort of, and had Rick
Yes. Weird stuff.
But the point was, I knew that the audience would just, my fans, it would be something that they would bind themselves to me forever.
That's very true.
Because of it. They wouldn't care if Ernestine lived or died. once that would have eclipsed
That would have
everything
been
for
it.
the really hardcore fans.
Yes, it would.
And I even thought, on my tombstone they could write, "Remember the time she wore Cher's dress to the Oscars," and that would be it. But so I so regret not doing it because it would have been so outrageously fun.
Yes, it would. That's a good regret.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because one time I went to the Emmys as Ernestine. Ernestine got nominated for doing flash dance on a show. This is back in the 80s. And I had a big dress made for her out of bugle beads with a candlestick phone worked into the sleeve and up the front. Oh. And she was so done up and everything. And I had two limos. One had a pair of hounds, big wolf hounds in it, and she just like an old movie star, and she posed with these wolf hounds. And I had my own film crew. Oh. And I went and I sat 5 hours with my face like that.
That's hard.
And then I didn't win. Cloris Leachman won for something, but I had prepared. I had a big black muff, and I had a big E on it, and then I whipped out a big black hanky with an E on it, and I sobbed into it when she lost.
Oh God!
And people wrote to me people would call the next morning and say to my agent, "Lily must have been so upset last night."
Oh my God, they don't get it.
And other people, someone wrote me a card and said, someone at CBS said, "Ernestine, last night you were a vision of dignity and pathos."
No, she's
half of that is the fun of it.
She's wonderful. And recently I had a fight with the telephone company, and who do you think I thought of? And who do you think I accused them of?
And who do you think?
And although it was somebody on the other end of the phone who sounded like she was, 12, she knew who Ernestine was, by God.
But she did?
Oh, she sure as hell did. She definitely did. All right, so then the other half of the question of the source of your greatest pride.
Greatest pride? Probably The Search, probably in terms of my career, The Search, and on opening night on Broadway, when the curtain came down on The Search for that first big opening night, the audience literally started shouting, "Author, author," which you'd never hear that or see that in this life anymore.
You don't.
It's an old movie thing. And luckily we were able to get Jane out on stage, She so seldom would she be there, but she did come on opening night. In fact, we used to have a joke in the company, that there are fans who have seen The Search many more times than she has.
Oh, but she directed as well, didn't she?
She did, but once it's done, she's totally can't revisit it.
It's a great, great work of art, and I can understand that it would be a source of great pride, of greatest pride. Thank you, darling, so much for being part of this, and thank you for being on Women's Media Center Live. This is a classic.
Thank you for asking me, dear one.
Oh, take care, sweet days.
Okay.
Impossible act to follow. But we'll try with some fighting words. I don't make New Year's resolutions, but I do find myself making a sort of wish list, a fantasy agenda for the new year, from the realistic to the ridiculous. So, in 2013, the Violence Against Women Act and the Assault Weapons Ban Act are renewed. The ERA is finally passed by the states. The court rules marriage equality constitutional. The Senate ratifies CEDAW, and Susan B. Anthony's birthday, February 15th, is declared a national holiday. There's no national holiday, by the way, honoring a female historical figure. And don't anybody dare come at me with Mother's Day as a substitute. Then my fantasy agenda gets a bit wilder. Here are some samples. In a diplomatic breakthrough with Iran's Ayatollahs, Obama welcomes a delegation to the White House. The Iranian men discover that they like neckties, and Americans learn how to cook crispy Persian rice. Everybody sits on cushions and sings Kumbaya. Benjamin Netanyahu chews some peyote buttons, stares at his latest Jerusalem settlements, and throws up. Concurrently, under the spell cast by my fantasy, rival Palestinian Hamas leadership in Gaza and PLO in West Bank have their own epiphanies, fall into an orgy of forgiveness and brotherhood, by which they do mean brotherhood, no women, and they unify. A conspiracy of Palestinian and Israeli women slips peace treaties under the men's pens, while the Palestinians fight about who forgives whom the most, and while Netanyahu sits cross-legged, giggling. The men sign, Hamas for all. And women in Saudi Arabia stage a sit-in their cars. Then, by God, they drive. What's more, they run down any man who gets in their way, yelling, "Zoom, zoom, Buster," in Arabic. Men get out of the way fast. Saudi women established the world's first Indy 500 for girls. All in all, not a bad year. And that's it for this week. You've been listening to us on CBS station 1580 gov.biz, AM radio in Washington, D.C., and on the web at WMClive.com. Remember to email us at womensmediacenterlive@gmail.com. Portions of this program were taped earlier. Views expressed here do not represent the WMC. Here's the family for Women's Media Center Live. WMC President and for this program Executive Producer Julie Burton, Senior Producer Crystal Williams-Chancellor, Technical Director Michelle Kinsey-Bruns, Production Assistant Nora Eakin, Board Operator Jimmy Henderson, and our founding sponsor Regina Kulik-Scully. I'm Robin Morgan. Thanks for being with us. Join us next week when we intend to demystify the economic mess with economists who actually factor the majority of the population, women, into their equations. Ha! What a concept! Only here on Women's Media Center Live.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on 1580 gov.biz radio, a CBS station.